You know, Bob, sometimes when I'm going over a borrower's credit report and we start going over the monthly payments and the balances, someone might say, oh, I pay that off every month. And there's a perception that we don't count that debt in their debt ratio, but we actually have to.
And you know what, Ruck? Let's talk about that.
Hello and welcome to this episode of What's Their MO. I'm Rick Masnick.
And I'm Bob Orlando, and today we want to go over how your debt ratio is calculated and what payments are factored into that ratio.
Yeah, and the first component of the debt ratio is the housing payment, including taxes, insurance, PMI if it's applicable, and if it's a condo, the condo fee. And the condo fee is not actually in the payment, but we have to include that when we're calculating the debt ratio.
Yeah, and what we're going to do is we're now going to take that housing payment and add in all the obligations from your monthly obligations from your credit report. And a good part here is that if you're a borrower who pays a little bit extra every single month, say on a credit card, we're only going to use the minimum payment due. So that's going to be an added bonus for helping you qualify for your mortgage.
Yeah, and as far as those monthly obligations are concerned, if you have a bill like a credit card and you tell us that you pay it off every month, we do still have to include the minimum monthly payment due on that credit card in your debt ratio. And while there's a perception, as I said, that we don't count it because you're paying it off every month, you've basically told us there is a bill every month. So we do have to count that minimum monthly payment in the debt ratio.
Right, and if you're applying for, say, a conventional mortgage and you have an installment loan, like a personal loan or an auto loan, then that usually means that you're going to fixed rate payments. And then we're only going to include, or actually, we're not going to include the payment if it's you have, let's say, 10 months or less left on that note. The only time that we will count it is that if say, for instance, like an auto lease, because we're going to make the assumption that you're either going to lease another auto or you're going to purchase one.
That's right. And if you're using one of these programs where you can add things like your utility bills onto your credit report to boost your credit score, we're not going to include those in the monthly payments. And also, it's important to notice that if you have student loans, we did an episode on this recently, which you can find on our YouTube channel if you missed it. But if your loans are in deferment, there's a calculation that we have to use to put some sort of a payment in there. But go back and look at that episode on our YouTube channel.
Right. Now, if you happen to have a bill that doesn't say show in your credit report, we're supposed to still include that payment. So we may ask you for some additional documentation. But the other factor that we do have to use, so for instance, if you're paying alimony or you're paying child support, that's something that will factor in your ratio and we'll need that information documented.
So as you can see, there's quite a bit involved in calculating your debt ratio, and there are bills that we count even though you think we shouldn't. Now, if you found this information useful, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. If you know someone that this information might benefit, please pass this on to them. But for now, that concludes this episode of What's Their MO. I'm Rick Masnick.
And I'm Bob Orlando, and we'll see you next time.